You look different somehow.
You know, because what, I have long hair, maybe?
All right, you guys just keep talking because we just went live. All right, so Full Throttle Nation.
Hello.
Scott Berlinger here with, as always, David Martin.
What's going on?
And we have a little different show for tonight. We started off with an introduction in one, and then we introduced two athletes that were of the elite caliber out there racing hard, Matt Connolly and Hallie Foster. We're going to go in a different direction tonight. We're going to talk about the art world because some of us, not you three, but some of us need a little art culture.
I think Veronique and Steven are elite in their own way.
Yes, they are. But tonight we're going to talk about art as well as their athletic career.
I care about you.
We have Veronique Ansorge and Steven Sergiovanni. Is that how we say that?
Yep, Sergiovanni.
Sergiovanni. And both of them do two, I would think, totally different things in the art world, but sort of similar at the same time. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we're both selling art. And I have been in the gallery world like Veronique, but I do my own selling art to clients now. But similar, we're in the same, right, Veronique?
We're kind of in the same. I'm basically at a specific gallery, so I'm more focused on the program of that gallery. But yeah, I work with guys like Steven all the time.
Yeah, so I, how it works with my business. By the way, how are you guys?
Yeah, let's
start
off by saying,
say hi. And
you guys look fantastic. And Steven, your hair has certainly grown out, hasn't it?
No, look at this. You know, I also really liked how David said we were elite in our own way. So thank you very much, even if it is only in the art world.
By the way, and that is not true. I mean, let's skip ahead to the athletic part of this. Your swim has been outstanding and become spectacular over the last year from nothing but hard work.
Yeah,
it's true.
And don't think I'm not following you on Strava right now during the COVID. I mean, while we are in lockdown, you are running every day.
Every day I'm running. And I've never run every day in my life. And also, David, you don't know this. And Veronique, you may not know this, but you may know this. I had never run 5 miles until my early training last year with Scott on the treadmill. I was like, we did like 5 miles. And I was like, I've never run 5 miles before. So
in your life, in his life,
in my life, I
wow.
In one time.
Wow.
And Veronique has been setting her alarm for 5:30 in the morning to get up and go run the West Side Highway by herself.
Wow.
And running between 8 and 10 miles, only to go back and go to bed.
Well, and let's talk about her elite performances at Lake Placid 70.3 and Stanford Kick It last year.
But I would like to first go back to really 5:30 in the morning, 8 to 10 miles, only to go back to bed. This is the plan.
Yeah.
Well,
feel really
first of all, it's been kind of my routine, right? Since we're getting up at 5 all the time for the training, so I'm kind of used to it. And then, I mean, I'm one of the few people who's left in the city, living in Chelsea, so I try to avoid all other people. And 5:30, there's literally nobody on the West Side Highway, so I'm running there by myself, no mask, no nothing, and it's really nice to see the daylight kick in and be running. I love it.
Why are you the only person running? Because everyone else is sleeping. That's why.
Yeah.
And are you doing it just to stay clear of people, or are you doing it because of work, or why?
No, I mean, I am. It's basically my schedule. I haven't changed it. I'm getting up the same time as I usually do, but it also, I must say, I ran like 2-3 times later, and you do get uncomfortable when it gets more crowded.
Sure.
And so I really like just not having that issue.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. And you know, David started to go down the path of your athletic career, which you know, I think that you're one of those people that likes to downplay it, but in your 3 races last year, you had an overall win at the Jersey Man, you had an overall win at the Stanford Triathlon, and then you absolutely annihilated the Lake Placid 73.
Yeah, that's
thank you.
I think that's a pretty good racing year.
Did you grow up in sports? Did you play sports growing up, school? What's your history with sports?
No, not really. But I mean, I think I've always liked sports. But you know, in Germany, where I grew up, we don't really have such a strong, I don't know, at least where I came from, team culture. But I've always sort of been running where I am, and yeah, I swam. I learned swimming in elementary school, but yeah, I was never on any kind of team.
I think the German soccer team or football team, as I say, would not be happy with you. They're always the finalists in the World Cup.
That's true. And honestly, from the little I know of professional triathletes, I think there's some pretty good ones out there from Germany.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I think but most people are pretty self-driven somehow.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and most people don't know that you're actually Slovakian.
Yeah, my parents are both from Slovakia, and they came to Germany in the late 60s. And so, yeah, I was born there. But yeah, that's more my family background and my first language. And
when did you come to New York?
I came to New York I was there already in the late 90s. For internships and for working something, but I really moved in the mid to 2006.
And when did you start? When did you start training with Scott?
That is now 3 years ago, maybe.
It sounds right. I think you came in the middle of that first season, or certainly after we had just started, and I think 2 full racing seasons of which has been incredibly successful. I mean, on top of both of those things, and we're about to dive into the art world, which I'm very excited about. You also speak 5 or 6 languages, which is amazing because I struggle with 1.
Yeah, well, if you grow up bilingual, it's much easier. And then, you know, Europe is so small, you easily tap into other languages. And so we kind of all speak several languages for the most part.
Stephen, do you speak more than 1 language? Stephen?
Hold on, I'm getting this. Sorry, I saw David do it, and then I thought I really want to.
He wanted it.
No, I don't, or really poorly, but no.
Yeah. And what was your athletic background growing up?
You know, I had a brother who was very athletic and did, you know, kind of all the sports, and I did very little when I was really young. I swam for the most part, most of my life, like kind of probably like junior high on. I was on swim teams, and I played tennis a bit, but I never did like, you know, like basketball, baseball, football, those sports. So I always swam, and I've always felt comfortable swimming. But it's really interesting to me that in the past like year, just over a year that I've really trained with Scott, I never knew I was a good swimmer until I trained with Scott. Like you really gave me the confidence, and I'm like, oh wow, I am a good swimmer. But I never thought so.
I need to be clear, Ho, but the truth of the matter is that it took me 3 years to talk you into coming and joining us.
So
it was one of the longest courtships I've had in my whole life.
Oh, he was hesitant.
Yeah. No, it was unbelievable. And then as soon as he did, he was a natural. It was excelled immediately.
Yeah. So David, I was training with Josh Fly, and I've always had a trainer do.
Shout out to Josh Fly.
What, Josh?
Yeah, shout out. We miss him.
Shout out to Josh. I texted him the other day actually, but he's such an awesome guy, and I love training with Josh. And we'd see Scott, and Scott would always be like, "Get in the pool with me, get in the pool with me." And Scott, you know, had me get in the pool with him like probably a year or so before I joined the team. Just kind of, we swam, and I learned a lot from him, and then I dragged my feet, and then I finally kind of committed.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. It's so much fun.
I have to tell you, both of you have made such incredible games, and it's actually kind of cool because this episode that we're working with and talking about art, Stephen, you represent the 9 a.m. group, which is loaded with art people at many different capacities, and Veronique is in the 545 group, and it's two totally different attitudes by the way that they attack the workouts.
Are you saying we're lazy, Scott?
I'm not saying we're lazy. I'm saying that you guys,
where he's going with that.
You enjoy a morning espresso and choose not have to get up while it's still dark. And I think that some would argue 9 a.m. more fun.
Probably. I really enjoy swimming with Veronique also. So I have tried to recruit her to swim with me as many days as possible. It doesn't work out often, but occasionally.
Well, I can't wait to go back in the pool.
Oh my God, anytime. I will do it anytime now.
Well, wait, you say that, but with that, to join us on the Thursday 5:45 swim on a regular basis, which we have not seen.
I know we have not done it, but
we'll do the.
Now I feel like I would swim anytime. I'm so done.
I'm looking forward to that, and I will hold you to that and bring you in for that.
Right.
And the way it looks right now, I think we have a minimum of another 4 weeks. Sound about right?
We have maybe more than that.
But what I will do, once you guys feel like you've quarantined long enough, is I will have you guys up. David and I put our feet in the water. It's about 49 degrees, so it's a little too cold.
I bought my thermal swim cap today, though, and my booties and my gloves.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Which he's not wearing today.
No.
But on to why you guys are here. So, Stephen, you are solo, but you do teach art, I believe, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I have always been in the art world my whole career. I went to graduate school for arts administration, and I've been lecturing to different universities on occasion on how galleries operate. And kind of my passion in the gallery world is transparency and feeling like galleries need to be more transparent about prices and friendlier and have more availability with information on a desk so that anybody can feel comfortable going in and it doesn't feel so elitist, because the art world is very intimidating for a lot of people, and it's such an awesome free place to go that I really am interested in the whole transparency of the art world. And so I lecture to, on occasion to classes on that sort of thing. And they're usually friends who are teachers and like, hey, will you talk to my class this semester? And I was speaking to Pratt, to their undergrads and graduate students. And somebody asked me if I wanted to take a class, and that led to 2 classes. And right now I'm doing a career advising at Sotheby's. And they have a arts administration master's program.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I feel like I do a lot of different things in the art world, but they're all very much about what I do as an art advisor. So they kind of all, I feel like I have a lot of different art gigs, but they all are essentially about the same thing.
Now, did you go to graduate school for arts administration, or
I did.
Where was that?
I went to NYU. So I went to undergrad in Texas, a really small school, and I made up my own degree, kind of doing studio art and art history and business, and just kind of made a degree with what I was interested in and what I was good at. I always think it's important to kind of focus on your strengths, and it led to grad school, and I knew that I wanted to do something in the art world, and kind of the business side made the most sense to me.
And so talking about galleries and how they operate, Vero, you work for maybe arguably one of the best galleries in certainly New York City and maybe the world. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I've been with the gallery now for 12 years. I actually have no background in art. I studied economy and then business. And basically, before coming to New York, I just, out of passion and curiosity, went to see a lot of museum shows and art shows in Germany. And then when I came to New York, I ended up moving to Chelsea, and somehow I figured out that there's this one guy from Germany that's very talented. And I mean, that's a very New York story. I basically walked into an opening and told him, listen, I live around the corner. I have a baby at home. And do you have some work for me? Maybe I could do some translation. I love art. And basically out of that little conversation in an opening moment, developed my career in the art world. And I only have the experience at that gallery, and I've grown with it. It's when I joined, it was 30 people. Now it's 250 people, from one gallery space to I think 6 or 7 gallery spaces now. So that's been an incredible learning curve and experience that I witnessed by being there the whole time.
Wow.
And then the gallery you're with is?
It's called David Zwirner.
So you know that the people listening now are all gonna hit you up as you guys start your big openings and your exhibits. And
sure,
you know.
I'm always inviting everybody from Full Throttle to come, and I think a lot of people had a great experience visiting the Kusama show. Kusama! Kusama! So, and it's so close by. You basically, coming out of Chelsea Piers, you can't miss it because it's on 20th Street. And you have to walk by. So feel free to come by anytime.
Beyond generous to all of us. And in fact, I've taken you up on many of these, and we've invited some of the other athletes to come and really opened my eye to what art is. And little known fact, I don't want to get sidetracked, but art is also David's background.
Yeah, which is amazing. And I have to say, you're a really talented artist.
Wait, oh, thank you. You're very sweet.
So you do art. You make art.
I went to school originally for art. So I went to Skidmore College. So I don't know if either of you have worked with or gone to the Tang Teaching Museum on campus, but it's a fantastic little museum / gallery, and that's where we actually had our senior show. So we were able to curate, and we were able to put up our own work. And I was more involved in oil painting. So I studied abroad in Italy, in Florence. I went to the Lorenzo de Medici school, and I did a lot of Renaissance style artwork.
Name dropper.
Yeah, Lorenzo de Medici. I loved it. And so I did a lot of your drawings. I just wanted to draw naked people all the time. And you could rent naked people for your studios. You just go downstairs to the office, say, I want a naked guy for 2.5 hours. I want to do a headstand in my corner. And,
by the way, for art purposes.
For art purposes.
It was odd that he only requested the males. It was just odd. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So that was that. But I had a tough time. I interviewed with Milton Estro of Art News Magazine a couple times, trying to get him to let me write for him, do write-ups of different shows and galleries. I talked to Julien Laverdier, who was doing prop styling for Richard Avedon and The Daily Show, and it just got to be like I was trying too hard to stick with it. And then
I didn't know that, David.
Right? See, this is why we do podcast 3 for everyone.
So, Vero, you said that you've seen David's art. How?
Well, he gifted me a piece. I got very lucky.
Really?
Listen, all I can tell you is that David's Martin. He's been looking for someone to represent him for the works because he's looking for the big client base.
Oh, look, she has it ready.
Oh.
Can you all see it very well?
Yeah.
No, that's actually good.
I actually have 2 at my house.
Really?
Yeah.
What nice.
But I did those as fundraising to help me pay to go to the World Championships, and I ended up selling 60 across the United States.
It's amazing.
Texas. I sold them all over the place. It was cool.
Oh, wow. How did you get the word out?
I went to a Facebook group called Try and Sell It, and I put up some photographs and said I was trying to raise money to go to the World Championships, and it just took off.
Wow, that's an awesome idea.
It was very cool.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff, and that's why I said that I'm the one here that wants some culture, right? And so I've had this conversation with Veronique. I'll have it with you, Stephen. And it is not sour grapes, because I love this market, and I do love art, and I really feel like I've been fortunate over the last 3 years to be exposed to it in a way I never have in my life. Yeah. But I do think that it is a market that you guys have created, and you guys have the ability to sway the market, print money. I believe it's a market that you guys control, and it's a monopoly. And I believe that very, very strongly, in that I've gone back and forth with Veronique and a couple other people, and they fight me tooth and nail, only to in the end say, okay, somewhat, right? You guys get behind an artist, and you can make a market, and you guys can launch careers, and you guys have the ability to really set the tone with these different upcoming artists. And it's a market that's one of a kind.
You know, in a way, I think what you're talking about, in a sense, is more supply and demand, right? It's like, if there's a demand for something, then prices go up. And I think that that's what's happening in the art world, because if people aren't buying the pieces, then the prices can't keep going up. So
but they do. But the prices do continue to go up, and it's like,
because they're
amazing.
So I want to point something out. I read
Please.
this very interesting article with the headline saying why the art world should be encouraged by the odd resilience of cruise ship business, right? Because right now, what is happening, as you can hardly imagine, cruise ship bookings for 21 are already like completely sold out. Like, who would think, right? And given the situation of the virus right now, who would think that you would ever book a cruise ship again? And that kind of, you know, reflects a little bit to the really odd kind of, and that's a little bit of what you're speaking to. It's a niche market, the art world, and the people in it have very strong particularities. And one is, there a lot of real addicts in this market who are resilient and really want something. So, and that is where, you know, prices really define themselves, and it's really particular in that way. And I thought the analogy was interesting, but it just does not correspond to like commodity goods like in other markets. It's just a very specific market.
Well, and also something that is a bit different about the art world is that a lot of the art that's being sold is unique. So they're one of a kind. Where if somebody's collecting watches or cars or something else, they're often not one of a kind. So I think that that's also has to do with the kind of frenzy of buying and why prices get escalated.
So to your point, Veronique, about the cruise ships booking for 2021, and I fully believe that the market's going to come back by December. I feel like losses will be recouped, at least to a certain level. How is it affecting both of your worlds right now, with basically disposable income evaporating, and how are the prices being reflected, and what does the market look like right now?
I mean, from my point of view, how the market is, let's say, on pause to a certain extent. And first of all, obviously, given the situation, all galleries, institutions, everything's closed. So there is no ability to see anything in person. So right now, the market needs to reinvent itself, in the sense that we're all looking into stronger representation in the virtual world, online. So everybody's strongly developing tools to, you know, to become better at really selling virtually. So that's one thing that happens. And then obviously, you know, there's people in the business, as in any other industry, that are risk averse, or that are more risk open and see opportunity in this market. So right now we're in a situation where, you know, you feel out who's right now active, and there's certainly a lot of people that are still active, and others that right now, you know, do not want to be active. But so it's a shift. It's a shift in how to do business, and it's a shift on who's active right now. And yeah, but it's certainly very tough for young galleries, for young businesses, because you know it's not going to be the same level of income right now. And if you don't have any pockets, it's really hard to you know, to get over these next couple months that will still be very challenging.
Yeah, it's also our
individual.
Oh, sorry, Scott. Our business, it's also, you know, a luxury commodity. So it's not something that, you know, is a necessity to buy art. And so it is challenging finding those people that are going to take the time to do it. And as Veronique said, you know, some people are really willing, it's part of their passion, and they're always going to buy, or they're always going to look to buy. And then others just want to focus on family and their work and their home and what's going on, and don't want to deal with something that they don't have to deal with right now.
Sure.
And I think you have to be really careful, and you know, how you talk to people, how you talk to artists. You know, you have to understand that everybody's acting different in the situation.
Yeah, I will say that even though, you know, I think what you said about having to be careful is really true. Initially, you know, what it's been like 5 weeks or something. It's, you know, probably 4 or 5 weeks since we've kind of been quarantined, and I left the city. It was the first 2 weeks, I would say, that I really had very little contact with collectors and galleries. And all of a sudden, galleries are sending images to me of artists they know that my clients have been interested in, but their emails are like really thoughtful and, you know, not pushy at all, but just kind of sharing information with me. You know, part of it is that we still need to work and go on and kind of keep going. All the galleries have, for the most part, have exhibitions, but they're all virtual exhibitions. So they're all putting together shows now.
When you say that the galleries reach out to you in particular, that's because you have expressed interest in these particular artists. Now, are they reaching out, and now these are now at a discount that is marked what is going on in the world, or it's just the same price, but here they're available?
Yeah, same price, but here they're available. I mean, I think that, you know, the art world, there's always a bit of negotiation that can go on. And in terms of being an advisor, I make my money from getting a discount from a gallery. So, you know, you kind of assume that that's always there. You know, if you really want something, you can have a conversation with somebody and see, you know, how much the gallery is willing to, you know, possibly go down a bit to sell something right now.
Right. So your first, or I should say, your favorite 2 artists that are established, Veronique, who would they be? In any arena.
I won't be a Judge Judy.
Yeah, David judge you. Yes.
Well, there's one artist that I don't know if the audience will know. It's a German photographer. His name is Wolfgang Tillmans. He's a few years older than me, and he's very much, you know, I grew up in West Berlin. When the wall came down, I was 13, and, you know, I'm very much of that generation. You know, the Love Parade started, techno, dancing, and I don't know, a very particular moment in time and spirit, and the reunification of Germany. And so, you know, he really much captures that spirit. So I love his work, and he, you know, he does all kinds of different images, which are almost like a contemporary diary. So he would be the photographer, and that I really love. And as a painter, there's an artist, her name is Marlene Dumas, and she's originally from South Africa. Her works are very political. They also are, about female rights positions, political, but she has a really specific way of painting that is very unique, and I can really relate to it. So I really like her work as well.
shockingly, I know both of those artists.
Mm-hmm.
And your second choice, very famous for some nudes as well.
Yeah, that's correct.
And
Harsh nudes.
Both alive.
And they're alive, yeah.
That's big in our case.
And Stephen, what about
Prostitution and everything.
You know, I kind of more in terms of more established artists. I love Soloit. Soloit is he does wall drawings. I don't know if you know his work.
Yeah.
He's amazing, and I love Soloit, and I love seeing his pieces, and I love Mass Mocha is an amazing museum that has a whole kind of area of Soloit's wall drawings that I think are just spectacular. I never tire of seeing his work. He's somebody I always like. There's so many artists. I would say that, you know, kind of my passion with what I deal with and the art that I buy and the art that I sell for the most part is underrepresented artists, which is emerging artists and, you know, women, artists of color, you know, anybody that would, you know, we'd consider underrepresented. And there's somebody whose work I own and whose work I've sold a bit, who I really think is great and going to have a great career, named Damian Davis.
So the when you talk about non-established artists in that arena, are these artists that people were actually wanting to get into art but didn't have the monetary means to be able to do that?
Yeah.
These would be the artists that you could put them in and help them out with upside, but also they would just appreciate the art.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. You know, more emerging artists are price point that's a bit friendlier.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of emerging artists are in big museum collections, and their prices are, you know, more expensive than most of us could afford. For the most part.
I really enjoyed speaking with both of you, and a shout out to both of you having great athletic careers, great, very interesting careers. And I think that like myself and David, you two are very fortunate in that you found careers that you're so passionate about and that you get to go to work every single day and love what you do. I think that's pretty great.
Yeah, it is awesome. I feel really lucky about that.
Have you been to New Haven, to the Yale Art Gallery, see Soloit?
I have.
His wife is on the advisory board, or I think.
Oh, yeah. You know, I found this, David. I did know this, but
let's all go together.
I've been telling Veronique that I want to take her, and I also want to take her to Calder's house. Calder had a house 2 minutes down the road from me where I live right now.
Oh, really? That I have not seen. Let's
yeah, absolutely beautiful.
I hope we can do it soon. And
you know what? I believe that we will, and we'll do some more things up here, and we'll have all you guys up. So Stephen, anybody wanting to talk to you, they've got to come to the 9 a.m. group. Veronique will be found at the 5:45 group. I would love to hand out your phone numbers and websites, but we don't do that here. We're going to make people do some grassroots work to get to know everybody, because that is the point of this podcast. So before I let you go, and I can't thank you enough for being here, David and I like to do something called the elephant in the room.
I think you love to do
You love the elephant in the room. And in case you missed this happened to be on an Instagram pop that I saw back on, I think it was April 9th. Okay. And just in case you guys missed it, I figured that we'd give you a little show, get to take a look. Right. And maybe Stephen can make a comment and or join. So here we go.
Hi, everyone. Just finished some yoga. It's my birthday today.
I can't even get it.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, I hope you will dance to celebrate.
Oh, I am not doing this justice.
Wait, hang on. If you do this, oh.
Can't do it.
Oh, I was trying to turn down the brightness.
I can.
You know
what? Hold it close. Look, I held it close and it worked.
Where? Yeah, but she's washed out. I've got to take.
She's washed out anyway. Look at her skin.
Woo! I'm gonna see.
Wait, Veronique, when was?
Maybe that wasn't meant to be.
Maybe that was meant to be. No.
Wait, when was this?
Last week.
Last week.
Yes.
Wait, on your Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yes.
here we go, people.
Sorry. It was
Hey,
a
it was
little
worth waiting.
moment to share being alone. And I thought I was going to have some fun dancing.
Oh, you just turned off your phone.
No, I did not.
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
Look at everything.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Maybe not.
I have to tell you, it was so worth it. I'll have to bring it on in a different episode.
All right, Veronique, I am gonna have to do my own version.
Okay, great. And maybe that will be shared better.
I will get it to you both. I think it was divine intervention.
All
But
right.
you guys have been great sports, and thank you so much for being a part of this.
It's so good to see you both.
Yeah, thank
Good to see you both.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Have a good night.
Okay.
Take care. Bye.